Today we're going to be going over 10 no-brainer compliment pulling fragrances that every guy should look into. And so really, I mean, that's the intro. I mean, that's what we're talking about today. Compliment pullers that work pretty much no matter what. So I will link everything down below if you're wanting to do some shopping. Maybe you want to pick some of these up. Always shop through discounters, save yourself some money. Let's get things started off with Valentino Uomo. Now, there are many options within the Valentino Uomo line, a ton of them. Just, you know, Uomo and Uomo Intense, and then all the Born in Romas and everything like that they've been focusing on more. There's quite a few. Some discontinued, some in production, but nonetheless, you have options. This one is as easy as it gets. It's the original Valentino Uomo. This is where it started. It's got coffee, hazelnut, some chocolate, and a bit of a leather accord in here as well. I mean, that note breakdown, it sells me on it every single time. And for whatever reason, I put this one off for years. I mean, I got Uomo Intense first, and then as they were releasing new ones, I was getting those. And Uomo, the original, was one of the last ones that I ended up getting, which is backwards, but you know, it's just, you get caught up in all the flankers that sometimes you forget about where it all started. And I don't want you guys to make that same mistake as well, because this is a fantastic one. And given that it's the oldest and it's the most, I mean, it's kind of the most basic in terms of just being the original and not any flanker with a bunch of hype behind it, it's one of the cheapest too. And so this is one that you can often get for quite a bit less than pretty much all of the rest. And if you like coffee, chocolate, leather, kind of gourmand, sweet, masculine scents, you'll love this one just as much as everybody around you. Tom Ford Ombre Leather, you know, it's a great leather scent. Basically, that's what it is entirely, is leather with a little bit of amber, but mostly leather. A smooth, fresh, and relatively mild leather note. It's not too strong or too earthy like it sometimes can be, which is why this one is in the video, Ombre Leather, because I mean, I really don't see anybody getting offended by the smell of this, whereas something like Tuscan Leather from the same brand could easily put a lot of people off. Now, some of you might like that daring, challenging aspect. That might be what draws you into this hobby. And so, you know, that's not really what this video is about. So that's why we're choosing something easygoing like Ombre Leather. It's a pretty trendy smelling scent, even though this has been around for a long time, because before it was released in this bottle, it was in the private blend, and it was Ombre Leather 16. And again, been around for a long time, but it still just smells new and modern and just up to date. I think this is gonna definitely be a timeless scent that's gonna work for forever, really, as far as I can see, just like an Acqua di Gio. People just like how this smells. And given that it's a little bit fresh, it's a fresher leather, you could kind of work this one in more often, right? I think you could easily wear it in spring, you know, summer evenings, fall and winter as well. You can get a lot of use out of this one. Given that it's a Tom Ford, you know, it comes with that higher price tag, but it's still one that's going to be actually usable for a lot of situations. Now, speaking of something that just has a higher price tag, but there are options for you, which I'll talk about, Elysium by Roja Parfums is a no-brainer compliment puller that will work always and forever. I just don't see this ever going out of style, and that's because it's based off of a lot of, you know, blue fragrance scents. Think of your Bleu de Chanel's and your YSL Ys and, you know, Sauvage and Dylan Blue. Now, it doesn't necessarily smell like any of those in particular. It really does its own thing, but it's in that type of wheelhouse. This one, it really focuses a lot on vetiver with a bunch of lemon, bergamot, blackcurrant, apple, and ambroxan. So a lot of fruits, a lot of citruses, a nice, fresh, fuzzy ambroxan, and then a nice, soapy, clean vetiver scent further on in the mid/dry down to kind of round everything off. And so, like I said, there are options. If you don't want to spend this much on a full bottle or a real bottle, right, you could get clones. There are quite a few Elysium clones out there. There's FOMO, a Frag Heads Asylum. Fragrance World has one called Imperium. Both of those are great options that are affordable. You know, both of those options are under $40 for 100 ml. This is, you know, about $200, $175 for 100 ml, somewhere around in there. so big savings. You know, if you do end up wanting to get the full bottle, but that is a risky blind buy, you could check out our website, decantcenter.com. We'd love to help you out and get you hooked up with some samples to hopefully save yourself a lot of money in the long run. But yeah, Elysium to me is one that it's always going to work. People are pretty much always going to love this stuff. Hugo Boss bottled Absolute. I mean, it's new, of course, right? And it's a very popular new release now as well. This is something that is not your usual style of compliment polar, you know, blue scent or sweet in the form of a bunch of vanilla and tonka or chestnut or something like a lot of new scents these days. It's actually a little bit more of a gentleman's masculine, more mysterious and smoky approach, but it still has this kind of alluring smell about it. It's got patchouli, incense, leather, and some myrrh in here. So again, it's seductive, it's smoky, it's sweet, it's rich, it's kind of resinous as well. And under $100 right now on discounters. I cannot think of a better purchase in this category or this scent style right now. You know, as far as what this one brings to the table for just under $100, to me, honestly, it is mind-blowing. You know, this may end up being one of the best releases of the year. To me, I think we've had quite a few really good new releases. But again, this one here it's hard to beat. I really didn't think that they would be able to do much better than Boss Bottled Elixir. And then just a year later, they came out with this one now, which might actually end up being quite a bit better. So hats off to them. Great compliment polar. Great affordable scent too, given the value that you get out of it. Let's go with the Creed up next. We have Aventus Cologne. You know, it's always regular Aventus, right? And all of its, you know, clones, because there are tons of them. And those, of course, work incredibly well. But let's take a little bit of a different turn here. A fresher version of Aventus. This is what this is, and it still works incredibly well. So, you know, you get the general idea of the birch, the musk, the black currant, the apple, all of the ambergris, right? Just like you would expect from Aventus. But then with this one, you get a little bit of like an oceanic and slightly airy aldehydic smell. And the best way to describe this one, the easiest way to describe this one, is it's kind of like Creed Aventus mixed with Chanel Allure Homme Sport. It just kind of has that orangey, fresh, aldehydic kind of airiness that is found in the Chanel, mixing with some of that creamy nature, and then the Aventus DNA on top. That's kind of what this one smells like in a nutshell, if you just wanted to break it down easy. Or Aventus meets Versace Pour Homme, another great example. And if you wanted to, if you have Aventus and you have Versace Pour Homme, layer those together first and see if you like that. And if you do, maybe that works enough. And if you still want to go for Aventus Cologne, just because it's still has its own twist, it has the Creed quality, and you know it's already pre-mixed for you, then that's an option. Narciso Rodriguez Bleu Noir Parfum. It's got iris, musk, suede, and tonka bean. Now this is probably one of their best ones, and they have quite a few. Just the original, the Eau de Parfum, the Eau de Toilette Extreme, and then they've had just a few like Narciso Rodriguez Eau de Parfum, and I think a couple others that are discontinued. But they have a few just from the brand for their men's releases. And I just think when you're talking about the price and just what you get out of all of them, the Parfum brings the most to the table. And really, to me, it's just like it's still using the same DNA, that woody focused DNA, throwing in a little bit of iris and suede to give it a bit of a sweet creaminess. It's a really good blend here, and it nails the combination of fresh and sweet very well. Let's go for another new release, just because why not? I mean, it fits the bill. It's Eros Energy. I mean, this stuff, there's nothing about it that doesn't fit the bill for huge compliment polar. It's a good performer. It's super loud. It's fresh. It has a little bit of an Aventus smell, but really what it is it's kind of like Aventus, but with a ton of lemon lime off the opening. I mean, you might be surprised how sour and lemon lime focus this one is off the opening. I mean, my first impressions on this one, you know, which you can go watch, I was not expecting that at all. I mean, it's really punchy. So it's super fright, super invigorating and fresh for summertime, which is going to be the best time to wear this one. But I mean, really, if you're in the mood for something fresh in fall and winter, there's no reason this wouldn't work either. It's already hitting discounters for as low as I think 82. I've seen it. Maybe you're usually going to pay around 85 to 90 right now, but I think over time that'll continue to drop. YSL Eau de Parfum. Now, at this point, too, we have a few other flankers, the Eau de Parfum Intense, which might be my favorite, Y Elixir, Eau Fresh, Eau de Toilette, Y Live, and I think that's it, right? The original, if I didn't say that already. But again, options are out there. You know, I think probably as far as just not caring about anything else, the only thing that you're focused on is solely the compliment factor. I do think the Eau de Parfum is the best bet. Now, my personal preference in terms of just smell and everything is the Eau de Parfum Intense, but why this one is so special is that fruity sweet apple that it has, mixing with the sage and the amber wood and everything else going on, some of the lavender and stuff. It's an aromatic, fruity, blue scent, essentially. And I do think that sweet apple really helps propel this one into the just massive compliment factor abilities that it has. The Eau de Parfum Intense does take away that apple. That's my preference in terms of smell, but again, taking that out and just focusing on smelling good to as many people as possible, and also just having some of the best performance in the line, just the Eau de Parfum is the one to get. And I mean, it's $100 or so on discounters. You know, it's not a cheapie, but at the same time, with how much you can get out of this one, I think that's money well spent. L'Homme D'Eau Parfum, this is the gentleman's scent of the year, or at least one of them. You know, Boss Bottled Absolute, it's up there too, but as far as just classy, refined, sophisticated, masculine scents with a little bit of an evening seductive edge, L'Homme D'Eau Parfum is one of the best to me this year. And the Extreme kind of does that too with the plum and tobacco, but the amaretto note in this one mixed with the almond, it takes it to the next level. I mean, it is really, really good stuff. Smells amazing. I mean, that opening, it draws you in and gets you hooked every single time. $100 or so right now is where this one's at. As it, you know, is getting older, the price will drop down because it's new and because it's pretty popular right now. It's one that is just going to be a little bit more than some of the others. We can't hardly keep that one in stock. Same thing with Boss Bottled Absolute. People are buying those up like crazy as far as sampling. So I bought enough of it to where we can keep it in stock now. So if you are wanting to sample Ideal Extreme, Boss Bottled Absolute, Eros Energy, you know, Elysium, we've got a whole bunch on tap ready to go for you. We'll finish this one off with a cheapie. We have Ferragamo Uomo Casual Life. It's got violet leaf, coffee, and lemon. You know, it's kind of a weird combination, but that's why I like it. That coffee note mixed with some of the violet leaf freshness and then just a bright lemon. Quite a bit of musk in here too. And they do list off ambroxan, I believe, as well. Or maybe it's an urban feel, but I do kind of pick up on a little bit of a bright ambroxan. That is somewhat of a trend here, and that's just because that note, it connects with a ton of people and it just works really well. This Ferragamo that I'm talking about is $35 to maybe $40 or so on discounters. So again, very reasonable. Definitely something that if you are kind of focused on a budget right now, it would be one to look into because you can get a full bottle for a good price. That's going to do it for me, guys. 10 no-brainer compliment pullers that I think every guy should have. And if you don't have them, try them because these aren't going anywhere. You know, if you can find a sample at Macy's, Sephora, Ulta, or whatever stores they have near you at the mall or just and whatever, and you can try them in person, do it. It's worth getting your nose on them. If you want to just do some online shopping, again, we'd love to earn your business and help you out over at decantcenter.com. Like I said, we've got not all of these, but kind of all the major ones here. We do have them in stock. If you'd like to try before you buy and save yourself potentially a lot of money if it doesn't work out for you, then you know where to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.